What is up, everybody, and welcome to Team Amazing presents Speak Nerdy to Me for the week of March 31st. This is our weekly show where we talk about our favorite headlines from the world of tech, movie news, video games, you name it. If we like it, we're talking about it today. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Ann Campea, one half of Team Amazing, and joining me to my right is the lovelier half of Team Amazing, Miss Kaori Take.
I am not the lovelier half, but yes, I am Kaori Take. Hey guys, and welcome to our show.
And we're happy to present a lot of headlines this week, so I think we should get started with something that I've been dying to talk about. Because for those of you that don't know, Captain America is out this weekend, and if you haven't seen it already, we definitely wanted to talk about it and make sure you heard what we think about the movie. Corey and I actually saw it quite a while ago, and Corey saw it probably like a month ago, and I saw it shortly after at the premiere, and it's been since then that we've been dying to talk about it with you guys.
Yes.
So let's get started with your thoughts on, I guess, the positives of Captain America.
There's so many positives about this movie. First of all, when I want to just preface this by saying that when I saw the first one, I wasn't a huge fan of the first one. But that being said, I came into this one not expecting to love this movie. But I absolutely did. I think I actually liked it more than the Avengers movie, believe it or not. I think. I have to watch the Avengers again to really make sure. But the acting was good. The storyline was great. The action sequences are phenomenal. And just everything about this movie, even you got to stay for the end credits. That stuff was great too. Positives. It's been a while since I've seen it. I have to go see it again to really pinpoint all the positives. But as a whole, you'll enjoy yourself. You'll like everything about this movie. It's a great Marvel film. So that's the big positive.
Yeah, Corey said we have to see it again because we saw it so long ago that I have to get it in front of my face again to make sure that I know what I'm thinking is, how much I really love this movie. I need to see it one more time. That being said, I had to go back and read some of my colleagues' reviews to make sure that I was on point with what I remember feeling when I first saw the film. So it has a lot of action. It has a lot of suspense. It has a lot of humor. And surprisingly, there's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of heart in this film, which typically you don't expect in a superhero movie. So this is a little bit different than what you would think. I'm with Corey in that I know this is my favorite Marvel film out today. Ooh. I think it has surpassed Avengers for me because it is a different type of superhero film. I think that it felt like a continuation, not only a continuation of the first Captain America, but it also felt like the beginning of something, because there's a really deep story being told in Captain America that is the catalyst for everything that's going to happen in Marvel's, cinematic universe thereafter. So not only did it feel like, oh, good, we get to see Captain America, we get to see how he is learning to live in this modern world and to try to find his purpose, but we also get to see something big and something different happening. And I'm trying not to say too much because I don't want to super spoil it for you guys. But I do feel like if you aren't a superhero or comic book fan, you could walk into this movie and still really appreciate it for what it is and understand what's going on. Because typically, if you go into something like Avengers or you go into something like The Dark Knight, you might not know some of the subtleties that are thrown in there in terms of the background, or maybe if you've read the comic series, you'll know a little bit more than some of us that haven't. So I think for that reason too, that's why I love this film, is that it's open to anybody.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think everybody can enjoy Marvel in general. What they have done with the movieverse is incredible. They have standalone movies for all your favorite characters, and then they get together for the Avengers. So it's building its own movieverse for people who are not even comic book fans.
Yeah.
And a huge following. It's very effective, and that movies most of the time are really entertaining.
So I read several critics say that this movie, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, feels like a 70s era paranoia film, especially because it has Robert Redford in it too. But did it not have that type of feel for you when you were watching it?
That didn't come to mind, but I can see it now. And I gotta mention Robert Redford in the movie. Great touch.
Yes,
absolutely. I loved it.
The caliber of acting was on par this time. Everyone from Robert Redford, again, Sam Jackson. We typically don't get to see him act in these movies. We see him, maybe a glimpse here, a glimpse there as Nick Fury delivering some lines or maybe delivering some orders to S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever. But you don't really see emotion from Nick Fury. You get that in this film. You got a lot of heart from his character. You get a lot of insight into what's going on with Nick Fury. I think this is the most screen time we've seen Nick Fury have in any of these films. So I really enjoyed that as well.
And I wanted to mention, which is also a positive, without spoiling the deets, there's not really a love story, but there's heart and what's a tease that I really enjoyed, because they didn't put too much in there.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And I think we both agreed on this a while ago when we talked about it when we had first seen it, that we like that there's no love story. There's no force-fed love story in this film. I'm pretty sure none of you will be disappointed to hear that. There is genuine camaraderie between characters in this film, but there's nothing where you feel like this girl is out of place. What is she doing in this movie? And speaking of women, Scarlett Johansson. I know you're typically not a fan of her. I'm a fan of hers, but as Black Widow in this film, I thought she killed it.
Oh, I completely agree. I'm usually not a fan of hers, and when she was in the first Avengers movie, I was very uncomfortable with her being Black Widow. But after this one, I understand now why she is Black Widow, and she's such a good one too.
Now they've thrown around the idea that, does this mean Black Widow will have her own standalone film? For me, I don't necessarily see it going that way. I know Marvel's already got their plans for, the next 10 movies or whatever, and I don't really see a standalone Black Widow movie. But I will say that this movie intrigued me enough to want to maybe read the comics to get some backstory on her. That's how much I liked her, and that's how much I liked her relationship with Captain America.
I agree. They completely converted me.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Great job.
I did also want to point out that I'm with Kaori in that I didn't necessarily like or connect with the first Captain America film. It wasn't one of my favorites. I thought the pacing for me didn't work. But in this movie, I felt tremendously emotionally attached to Captain America, and where he was going to go and how he was going to find his purpose in this story. I thought you saw growth in his character more so than we've seen with any of the other Marvel characters. And he's a little more real, whereas you can't really relate to somebody like Tony Stark because he's rich and he's very tech savvy. And maybe there's somebody out there that loves Tony Stark for those reasons, but there's no relatability, if that makes sense.
I know exactly what you mean, because whereas in the first movie, I didn't feel a connection to Captain Rogers, but this one, you feel connected to him throughout the movie, especially with his relationship with the Winter Soldier. You're thinking, oh man, I feel you, and I want you to be happy. I want you to be friends, It's just such a good movie. We can't say it enough.
And then I think the last thing I had on my list for positives was, I'm with you again on the choreography. I think it's some of the best I've seen ever. In particular, I'm kind of biased because George St. Pierre is in the film, so I'm a big MMA fan. I'm his number one fan. I think those scenes in particular,
hot.
He's
I'm just saying.
Welcome to George St. Pierre.
I have to say hot when the guy's hot.
Yes, he can kick ass. That scene in particular, while Baltrock and Cap are fighting, I thought that was great. There's a lot of cool moves. There's a lot of really good action, and it doesn't seem so campy as it did in Avengers. In some parts, don't kill me for that. In some parts, it did seem campy. So I enjoyed all of the fight scenes. I totally bought it.
Yeah, and I just want to mention that I really was impressed with the whole Nick Fury scene. Not gonna go further with that, but I was actually impressed with that one. Go see it and then tell me what you think. You can disagree.
Oh, yes. Yes. Any negatives for you on this film?
No, it's so hard for me to think of negatives. I'm sure there were some while I was watching it, but again, it's been almost a month since I've last seen it. So for me to be nitpicky and pinpoint, oh, I didn't like that part, it's already been in my head for a while that now the positives already surpassed that. So I can't think of anything right now, but I'll let you guys know.
I get you there. You know there. I mean? Yeah, I totally know what you mean. For me, if I were to pinpoint one minor negative, it would be that as much as I love Anthony Mackie, I think that I would like to see him more in a lead role rather than just being Cap's secondary guy. Okay. You know, and of course this is our introduction to Falcon, so it's not by surprise that he wouldn't take that primary role in this film, but perhaps in another film if they bring this character back. So that's how much I liked his character, though, is that I loved his interaction with Captain America. I loved the first scene in particular was one of my favorite scenes of the film, of how they start the movie introducing you to this new budding friendship, I guess you would say, between Anthony Mackie's character and Chris Evans' character.
That's a good one.
And so because I liked the character so much in this film, I would love to see him in more of a leading role in the future film.
Well, you just had me think of a negative.
Go for it.
Emily Van Camp. She's fine, but I felt like the way she was introduced, she should have perhaps had a bigger role, or that role was unnecessary. It was kind of in between. We're not so sure that it was as important to have her in the movie. That's all I have to say. You know what I mean?
No, that's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point. And I think you find that struggle usually when you have a film that's loaded with characters. That one of them is going to fall short in terms of their purpose in the story.
Yeah, so I
get what you're saying.
She could have been non-existent, or she could have been a little stronger. Right. She was caught in the middle. So that was my only negative.
So Captain America actually made $10.2 million in Thursday screenings.
Isn't that crazy?
That's insane. So I wanted to do an over-under with you and introduce you to over-under.
Okay.
And so for Captain America, do you think it will be over or under 200 million, which is what Avengers did in the box office?
I think it's going to be over.
Wow.
Well, how much did it make just Thursday night screenings?
I know.
Easily they can get there.
Yeah, I totally could see it too. I'm going to say just shy under 200 million. And that's just because I want to be different. I would say definitely above 150 million, probably shy of 200 million, somewhere in between there. But I wouldn't be surprised if Corey is right on this, because there's nothing major opening against it too.
Yeah,
it's the only film out.
That's true.
So it definitely has chances. So I think for the both of us, we could say go see it.
Go see it.
We promise it won't be a waste of your money.
Yes.
And see it in an AMC Prime if you can, so you could get the full effect of the sound and the beautiful cinematography of this film too. So not that I'm trying to plug John's Theater, but so let's move on to other movie news. Harry Potter.
Okay. Yes.
My favorite.
My favorite too.
Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is a book that J.K. Rowling wrote a few years ago, and it was for charity, I believe. And fans can rejoice because Warner Brothers has revealed that in the film that's being adapted from this book, it's actually going to be a trilogy. Lots of Harry Potter.
It's kind of like the same thing that they did, with The Lord of the Rings, how The Hobbit is one book, and now they're expanding it into a trilogy as well.
And I think it's really cool, the story. I don't know if you had a chance to read it. It's just a small book, too.
Yeah.
But the events of, and this is such a long title for this book, but Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, is that it takes place some 70 years before Harry Potter takes place, and in New York City. So just that concept alone means that, one, we're not going to get our trio because they're not yet born. But that doesn't mean we won't see other things from the world of Harry Potter. We might see Dumbledore. I'm sure he's alive then.
He has to be.
Yeah, so there's elements of Harry Potter that I think they can still bring into this world. And it leaves us fans with something more Harry Potter, because, you know, when you love something, you always want something more.
And that's kind of why I parallel it to Lord of the Rings, because I love Lord of the Rings. I love that movie so much. So when The Hobbit came out, you're thinking, okay, it's a small little book. Keep in mind, it's not going to be Lord of the Rings. So the same thing with this Harry Potter trilogy. Keep in mind, it's not Harry Potter. However, you are going to see elements that touch close to your Harry Potter heart. So very excited about that. And they also said that they had who to thank? They kept praising Warner Brothers. I forgot his name.
Can't remember the name.
But anyway, so one person really, really, really made it happen. J.K. Rowling is going to write the screenplay.
Yep.
So I'm excited to see the trailer when it comes out.
I know. All the fans are yearning for this. So that was perfect summary of how we feel about this upcoming Harry Potter news. So on to other movie news. TMNT, which is close to Corey's heart. Johnny Knoxville was announced to be voicing Leonardo in the upcoming TMNT movie. Corey, let's start with you. Your thoughts on this? I mean,
apparently they are kind of revamping the voice actors, and 43-year-old Johnny Knoxville is going to voice Leonardo. Because we're used to seeing Johnny Knoxville as a jackass, and Leonardo DiCaprio, sorry. Leonardo. Hey, Leonardo DiCaprio as Leonardo.
That would be pretty cool. I'd buy that.
Leonardo is essentially the leader of the four. He should be more serious and more conflicted, whereas I imagine Johnny Knoxville being happy-go-lucky. So essentially, I know that these are two different entities, and I know that I shouldn't say, oh, Johnny Knoxville can't voice him because he is a happy-go-lucky kind of guy. That's not fair. But I just find it an odd casting. I'm very curious to know why that happened. And I guess I'll just have to see. But for me, it's just so odd.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
I can't explain it.
I'm with you there. And the fact that they are recasting their voice roles, I'm not so sure what that means. I know it's different if it was an on-screen role, like if they all of a sudden recasted Megan Fox, which I think people would rejoice in. Mm-hmm. But I don't know why they would decide to do that. Maybe they just ran into Johnny in the hallway and Michael Bay said, hey, you want to be in the movie? Let's recast this guy that nobody knows and put you in it. But I'm with you, Corey, in that it's not the right turtle for him to voice.
That's how it feels. Yeah.
If anything, I would have thought Michelangelo. The fact that it's Leonardo, I don't get it. But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
And we can say, oh, a voice is just a voice. But a lot of times they do cast voice actors based kind of or loosely or to their personas. So we'll see. Maybe Leonardo DiCaprio in this version. I did it again. Leonardo, I'll just say Leo.
Yes.
Maybe Leo in this version is not as serious. So
yeah, I guess we'll have to see. So going from the big screen to the small screen, we wanted just to mention a few shows that are premiering on Sunday, tomorrow. First is AMC's Turn, which is set in the Revolutionary War time. So this is interesting because I don't think we've seen a show during this time period yet.
Yes, and for you all American fans, it might be interesting, and it's about George Washington's spy ring, which is a true event, apparently. And I'm sure AMC is going to loosen that idea up. But it could be interesting because AMC does have a lot of great trademark shows.
Oh, yeah.
The Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, probably the best show ever, as well as Mad Men, and Mad Men's ending, so they need other shows to keep going. I know Low Winter Sun didn't do too well.
No, not as well as they had wanted it to. Justified, is that FX or is that AMC?
That's FX.
Okay.
I was looking at the reviews for AMC's Turn. It didn't do very well, but again, we'll just have to see.
You mean some critics that have already seen the
like Variety magazine didn't like it too much.
Not good.
But again, it's the first episode. Sometimes you need that build up. But it is going neck and neck with the Game of Thrones premiere.
Hell yeah.
I love Game of Thrones. John Campea loves Game of Thrones. Ann Campea loves Game of Thrones. Therefore, we are going to do an after show for it. Woo! We have to.
So many of you have written to us, so many of you, and during our Arrow shows, during our Firefly reviews, saying, please do a Game of Thrones after show. And the funny thing is, out of the three of us, I am not yet caught up. So I have spent the last week marathoning seasons 2, and now I'm on 3. And I plan to have it done before tomorrow's season 4 premiere. So we're excited. I think this is going to be great. The only people that should be worried that Game of Thrones is premiering tomorrow are the people that are involved in AMC's turn.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's quite the show to have to go head to head with. I don't know what to think about that. Thank
goodness for DVR, because that ups their chances. But Game of Thrones, man, if you have a following, you have a following. And then people such as Anne are catching up right now. So there's probably going to be more people once the show premieres. And I'm so excited for it. Yes.
I know you can't exactly feel the excitement because we're on screen, but I can feel it. There's some energy coming right now from Kaori because she is that excited about it. So, and moving on, I think this fits in quite well because if you are looking to stream Game of Thrones like I am, I think we found a device for you. Amazon has released the Amazon Fire TV, which here's a picture of it, complete with remote control and gaming controller. I wanted to bring this up because for several of us, and like Kaori said, DVR is always a good option, but for several of us, streaming has become the next best thing. So Amazon has released their kind of contender for Roku, for Apple TV. This Amazon Fire TV is $99. It's kind of there with the price point of Apple TV. Roku, I think, depending on which model, is either cheaper or just about at $99 as well. It's designed to get you to consume Amazon's digital media. So if you are Amazon Prime member, you have that instant streaming. You can stream some of the things that Amazon has ownership of for free. That means TV, movies, whatever. But they're trying something different in that there's a $40 game controller that you can buy to play some Android games that will be synced with your Fire TV.
Not sold, just saying.
It looks, the controller is a replica of a Xbox controller.
If you are a gamer, you're not going to buy this thing and be like, oh, for $40, I can actually play my Android games on this thing. No.
I still think it's funny that when I walk into an arcade, one or two of the games nowadays, you know, the big arcade
they have
games
Android
are
games
Plants vs. Zombies. It's other one? Fruit Ninja. Yeah, are these real arcade games? And I'm thinking, why would you want to spend a quarter or 50 cents on this game when you could play it on your phone?
It's the future. That's the future for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think that this needed to come out. It was kind of unnecessary. I wouldn't miss it if it didn't exist. There's just so much competition with this whole streaming, and you can actually, I feel like you can have what they're trying to offer on your Xbox One.
Yeah. For people who already do gaming, then this is a non-issue because you already have, like Kaori's saying, you already have the functionality with any of your gaming consoles. I would see this as more of like a family-friendly streaming media box. So you got, you know, the instant streaming for people who are heavy Amazon Prime users. And then perhaps for your kids who like to play, who are not quite there in terms of the tech, in terms of the, how would you say it? The level of, they're not quite there to be able to play Xbox or PS4. Like they can still play those simple, maybe 1-2 button games. This might help those younger kids with those types of games.
But I'm sure they have, simple games like that as well available on the Xbox One or PS4. The Xbox One was built to be an entertainment system. I just feel that if I was going to spend, I mean, yes, the price value is a lot cheaper. It's only like $99
bucks, yeah.
But you get more bang for your buck if you get a gaming console. You're going to spend a lot more money, but it'll last longer, essentially, I think, because it can last for almost a decade, because the last time before the Xbox One or PS4, it was almost a decade.
Yeah.
PS3 and Xbox 360. But this, it's continuously having competition. There's going to be another device that's going to have the same thing. So you're going to constantly be spending more money to like up that.
Yeah. I mean, Corey's saying we've got 2 Roku boxes, 1 Apple TV, a Chromecast. We've got everything in this household alone. And the timing of the release of this just feels a little bit late. I mean, Roku's been on the market forever. Apple TV came in shortly after that. And then there's some other lesser known brands that are out there too that can stream media for you as well. So the timing is not working out great for Amazon Fire to release this now. But needless to say, whatever streaming device or gaming console you have, use it to watch Game of Thrones and catch up.
Yes. And join us.
So let's move on to some video game news. I know that Corey wanted to talk about The Wolf Among Us.
Yes, The Wolf Among Us episode 3 is coming out. Finally, A Crooked Smile. It is coming out April 8th. So that means on Tuesday. I cannot wait to play it, catch up, so you guys can enjoy it once it comes out. That's all I have to say about it.
I'm not caught up.
I keep telling Ann to play it. She started playing it.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. You've been playing South Park.
And when I mean stuck, I've been trapped because I loved the game, and so I just couldn't stop playing just that game.
Yes. This disclaimer, I read in a comment, how do you get stuck in South Park? She's not meaning like, oh, I don't know what to do with it. She just means that she has a lot of things to
addicted.
do too. Yeah. Yes.
So, and then just as a funny kind of side note, it's actually, even though South Park Stick of Truth is a 1-player game, it's really been like a co-op effort for me, because John has been right by my side, and although he's not the one holding the controller, he's the one telling me what to do or telling me what moves to make. So it's been a lot of fun for us. The story is really good.
It's funny too.
So let's move on to some around the web news, because I know there's something that is really pressing that is on Corey's mind, and I think this fits well for the topics that we like to talk about. So under food related news, we've got Yelp having some legal issues, and I don't know about you guys, but Yelp is my number one go-to app when I'm looking for where to go to eat, or not even just food, but they've got reviews for other things too, like massage places or whatever, nail places, like who's good at what they do. And so the fact that Yelp is in some legal issues, that sucks.
Yeah, because people are kind of conflicted with the credibility of the reviewers on Yelp, because they think that sometimes reviewers might get paid to give you 5 stars, or you can pay $75 and actually have a ad in the middle of nowhere when the users are searching for something else. There's a lot of things going on with Yelp, but recently CBS News posted something about Yelp battles to keep local reviewers anonymous, and I thought this was actually good on their end. I'm just going to read it really quick, not the whole thing obviously, but local business review site Yelp is embroiled in a legal fight with a Virginia-based cleaning company, potentially at stake the ability for people to leave anonymous reviews without having their identities uncovered by an angry company owner. So Yelp is actually protecting their reviewers' identity, and some businesses want to expose that for legal issues, but Yelp continuously is protecting us, which I think is good. And I've actually had an issue a while back, because I'm a Yelper, and I'm an elite Yelper. So somehow I don't know if that makes a difference, but I have a lot of fun perks.
What does a elite Yelper mean for those that aren't aware?
So if you have like the elite badge, that means that your reviews tend to pop up higher up when people search for something. Also, you end up going to some really fun Yelp events that you get invited to exclusively. So it's a lot of fun. You can always apply, and I suggest doing it. But a while ago, I had an event happen to me where I got headshots taken by a photographer, and this photographer was terrible. Completely awful. And I wrote a terrible review because I didn't want people here spending money on this photographer, because you're going to spend $500 on a photographer that can't do his job right. That sucks. So obviously that's what genuine Yelpers are there for. They want you to know your experience so you can gauge, oh man, I don't want to have that experience, or that was just a rare bad experience. Anyway, so I wrote a bad review on this person, and suddenly, a couple days later, I got incessant phone calls from this person, leaving voicemails about what a liar I am and how awful I am. And this was at a time when I had a website that had my phone number, and I took out my phone number because now I realize, wow, that was a bad idea. Because it was a bad idea. And so he was contacting me incessantly saying, I'm going to sue you. Who are you? That's BS. That's not true. And I was actually really scared because he kept calling and calling and calling and calling. And I told him, stop calling me. I picked up one time and said, stop calling me. I actually contacted Yelp, and they said, like, they were handled it really well, said, I'm sorry that's happened to you. I just suggest, like, taking off your review. So I just took it off. But the way Yelp handled it on my end as a reviewer, they were pretty good about it.
Oh, good.
That's the thing.
So it stopped.
It stopped eventually, but he was terrible.
That's awful.
It was really scary. And he kept saying he's going to sue me for defamation. And I'm like, dude, you gave me awful headshots. I spent $500 on your business. Yeah. I want people to know you suck. But then you're going to call me? I mean, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah, that reminds me of this episode of Kitchen Nightmares, I think it was, the Gordon Ramsay show, where he had this quaint bakery restaurant in Arizona. I don't know if you've heard this story, but there was this restaurant run by this, and you see it on camera, so I hate to say it, but people who have seen this episode will agree. This is the first time Gordon Ramsay walked out of a Kitchen Nightmares episode. And this woman and her husband were, I feel like they would be those people if they aren't already, because they would fire people like crazy when they would give their reviews. They would turn customers away if they said something awful about their food. And it's just sad because, like Corey's saying, people need to know if you're getting bad service, if the quality of the service you're paying a lot of money for, is bad, because you don't want other people, like, I don't want to go to this guy that she saw or whoever for the headshots if I know her review is telling me that his headshots are horrible, right? So,
yeah, I mean, you take it with a grain of salt too. I mean, if someone comes up and reads my reviews, they're not going to be like, I'm going to listen to everything this girl says. No, they're going to continue to read. And he had some good reviews. Granted, I thought it was suspect that a lot of them were just one review, which was him. So he might have asked. But
see, and I think Yelp and some of these review sites, it gives the opportunity for the business to say, hey, you know what? Thank you for telling me about this poor quality service or whatever. Let me try to fix it for you. See, that's the conscious way of handling your business, the right way to do it. One of our chef friends that opened a restaurant in Santa Ana, he was very much active on Yelp, not because he wanted to degrade anyone that was giving him bad reviews, but because he wanted to apologize if there was ever a time that you didn't have a good time.
And that's happened to me a lot too. I've gotten offers to come back, and I wrote a horrible review about Fuss City or Fuss Shitty. And they said, I'm so sorry that you had a bad experience. And they sent me a $25 gift certificate to try it out again.
See?
I didn't though, but
yeah, I mean, but at least that's that to me is the true intent of why you would allow for people to comment and for those business owners to comment back.
And I do say, though, I do kind of wish that business owners would respond more often when you write positive reviews, because I only see them respond to negative ones. But it's the positive ones that get people to come to your place. So if you're a Yelp business owner, thank us when we say good things about your place. That being said, Yelp is a great place for people to really get together and gauge what's good and what's not. But at the same time, there are schemes, I hear, that sometimes it's a little rigged. You get paid to write reviews, good reviews, and now there's a lot more ads and stuff induced in there. But that was my experience with Yelp.
Eesh.
Yelp tends to have a lot of legal issues.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say, I think Yelp does try to protect their genuine reviewers from my experience. And that's what I want to take away from that.
Oh, thank you for that. I'm enlightened.
Yeah.
I if that ever happens to you again, I will be the first to be in line to punch whoever that douchebag is.
Oh my
gosh.
it was so scary. I mean, dumb me putting my contact number, because obviously I'm in LA. I'm like, oh, well, if I get an audition or someone sees my website, they can text me.
Yeah.
But instead, this guy Googled me up, found my website. I'm going to call her incessantly because she's the person that really gave the truth about my place. But
So, if you're watching, I hope you're out of business. Okay, so let's move on to better men in this world. People that take wonderful headshots, by the way.
Oh, yes.
A person, I mean. Zac Efron, of course. We have to talk about him. And this week, we learned that Zac will star and produce in John Grisham's The Associate, an adaptation of that. So, Corey, what is your thought on this new venture for our boy?
You know, it's always interesting that right when they're writing, right when a lot of negative or exposure or news is coming out, they have another thing in the works. I can't think of the word.
Like a good to balance out the bad or something?
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, there's always something happening. Like, for example, Miley Cyrus and Kellen Lutz, are they dating? And the next thing you know, Kellen Lutz has his movie coming out. You know, or it always coexists. So Zac Efron is having a lot of issues right now. And what do you know? He's not only going to star in The Associate, he is going to produce it. I think that's a huge move for him.
I think it's a good sneaky way to rehab as well, because it will take his mentally, it will take his attention to a project and not so much the drugs.
I agree. And it causes a lot of intrigue for people because a while ago, we're seeing him, you know, having drug habits and then under a bridge in the sketchy part of LA. And then what do you know, a couple days later he is announced that he's not only going to star in, which is fine, we all know, but he's going to produce. Producing is huge deal. That's a lot on his plate. He shouldn't be doing drugs at that point.
I was just thinking our lower third should have read from bum fighting to starring and producing.
Yeah, right.
Our boy Zac Efron.
Bum fight.
I hope in some way this experience for him will be cathartic. I think that minus the drugs and all the other issues he has in his personal life, he's a very talented person.
Very.
Not only is he a talented actor, but I know that he is experienced enough and that he started out young. He's been in front and I'm sure behind the camera. So to the fact that they've chosen him to also produce this film says a lot about who he is and how much talent he carries with him. I think I read that Shia was originally supposed to be in this role. Is that not right?
I don't know, but
I wouldn't be surprised if they said, Shia, you're a little nuts right now. Let's get Zac.
Now that's someone that needs to go to rehab.
Yeah. So proud of him. We hope and we know this movie is going to come out really well, and we will be the first ones in line for it. So.
We will. We'll be backstage. Hopefully, dreamingly.
And speaking of Zac Efron being
hot?
The sexiest mother effer alive.
Seth Rogen was on a late night show and he said that Zac Efron is the sexiest mother effer alive fuck her alive. Because he says the way the noises women make or girls make when he's around are noises that he's never heard even from his wife. And I thought that was hilarious.
Did he try to mimic any of those noises?
I didn't watch the video. I just read the article. But I can imagine the kind of noises I make.
I'm just picturing that. I don't know if you've ever seen Mean Girls. I'm just picturing that scene where they're in the mall and they're around that fountain and all of a sudden all the girls turn primal. And they're just like all going crazy. I just picture that happening to Zach when he's going to the movie theater, when he's going shopping at the grocery store. Poor
How does
guy.
he even conceal himself?
I don't know. I know the hotness just kind of radiates off of his body and you just know it's him. But, that's cool. I think that I like hearing Rogen promote Zach in that way. I think that the fact that they are both starring in the upcoming Neighbors film,
Which got great reviews.
which so far is getting pretty good reviews. I know that John's seen it. He didn't say too much about it except that he knows we're going to love it. So
Even on mute, I would love it.
yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding.
we funny story, we went out to dinner the other night and of course we're smack dab in the middle of I think North Hollywood or Studio City or something, and there are 3 giant billboards of the Neighbors posters hanging up, and if any of you have seen them, there's one where Zach is topless and Seth is topless, and I think I pretty much slowed to a stop so that we can look up and stare at
And
that
there's a
thing.
it's green light.
It's
green.
fine.
It's green.
Don't worry about it. We're looking at Zach. They'll understand. So looking forward to that movie as well. I hope with all of these projects that maybe he'll snap him out of this, whatever he's going for.
I think he's going places. I'm sure of it.
Yeah. So that will do it for our topics for this
Yeah.
week. Kaori and I are actually going to do another video. So look out for that for our WrestleMania predictions, because that's tomorrow.
Yes.
Along with Game of Thrones, along with AMC's turn, or whatever else you're doing tomorrow, make sure to tune into WrestleMania because that is the biggest wrestling event of the year. So we're very excited for that as well.
We have our predictions coming at you, and there are a lot. There's 4 hours for 7 matches. We'll see how that works.
Speed rounds, perhaps? I don't know. So look out for some more content from Team Amazing. That will do it for this week. Let us know what you think about this week in headlines. Is there anything we missed? Anything you want us to talk about for next week? I don't know. Just leave it in the comments and let us know what you think.
Yeah,
so
let us know.
until next week, Corey, where can people find you?
You can always follow me Instagram as well as Twitter, KAORIOUS.
And you can follow me by my name, Ann Campea, and you can follow the both of us at Team Amazing, tweeting you some awesome shit.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And make sure to subscribe to this channel for more Team Amazing content, movie, blog, TV. Look out for all of our after shows that are coming out. Join us for the Game of Thrones one. We've got lots and lots of stuff coming up. So thanks so much for joining us for Kaori. I'm Ann Campea. Until next time, everybody. See you later.